Welcome back to Sabrina's workshop. Today I'm going to be showing you a project that is many months in the making. I'm going to show you how you can go from a 2D digital image to a 3D printed object and then to silicone molds for resin casting. This started because I wanted to make some jewelry designs based on Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West. So the first thing I did is I got some reference photos, saved them to my computer, and then traced out the designs that I wanted as paths in Photoshop. I made a few more tweaks, and then once I was happy with it, I converted it into an SVG file and then just dumped it into Tinkercad, where I could manipulate it more easily than in Blender. Now the shape that you're going to see is slightly different than what I ended up using and going with, because I decided that instead of an open frame like this, I really wanted a solid object, and then to make a mold from that. Originally I was thinking about casting resin directly into the plastic, but it just looked terrible. So I switched to plan B and designed a few more and printed them on my Ender Pro. I maybe also got a little bit carried away. I went through many iterations of this process, and finally this is the one I settled on. So I started sanding the 3D prints with my Dremel, just trying to eliminate any lines. I found this neat trick in this video that's linked right here. You take UV resin and cornstarch, mix it together in a sort of forbidden pancake batter, and then brush it onto your 3D printed object so that you can hide the layer lines. If you don't do this part, your silicone molds will have that weird texture on them too. After it hardens in the UV light, then you repeat the process by sanding it, cleaning up the dust, and painting on another layer of UV resin, then putting it under the light again, and then sanding it some more. So now we come to the two main ingredients in this, silicone and resin. I rolled out sheets of plasticine clay for my molds and cut solo cups in half and put them on top and sealed them with more clay. The silicone won't stick to the clay, and so it's also reusable, which is a plus. Once that cures, the really fun part comes where you get to peel it all off and see what your mold looks like. I did a whole bunch of these at the same time. And now they are ready to go. Sometimes that layer of UV resin will detach from the object into the mold. So if that happens, you just kind of have to carefully peel it out and pry it out of the silicone. If the mold has overrun over the plastic, you can take an X-Acto knife and just kind of follow that outline of where you see the shape and just score it and kind of cut it away gradually. Just be careful not to cut too deep. You can trim up the excess on the top with scissors as well, just to make it more visible when you do the resin pour. You'll want to brush it out and maybe use tweezers to make sure that you get out any little flakes of clay that might still be remaining. Now this is the fun part, which is mixing up your resin and coloring it and making all sorts of neat effects. I'm honestly not very good at resin pouring, but I like to practice, and it's also really relaxing just watching the resin pour into molds. I've used this technique before where you brush on mica powder in the bottom of the mold. It makes a really neat effect after you pour the resin in. So then I just set those aside to cure and went back the next day to see what the results were. The blue and gold one was definitely my favorite, so I set that one aside for some special attention. So I started by wet sanding it until I got a nicer polished finish on the back. I did a coating of UV resin to kind of bring out that shine. In order to make the colors pop better, I painted blue on the back on the reverse so that there would be a contrast when you look through the front. I attached some gold wire and some earring findings, and my custom one-of-a-kind jewelry was done. If you liked this video or thought it was interesting, please like it and remember to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that we can defeat the YouTube algorithm together.